In a small village in Nigeria, a boy named Tunde was born into a life that seemed destined for hardship. His mother had passed away when he was very young, and his father, a man of few words, remarried a woman named Mama Ife. She was beautiful, but sharp-tongued and quick to anger. At first, she showed Tunde a bit of kindness, but soon her true nature began to show. Tunde was only 15, but he had grown used to hunger, hard work, and loneliness. Every morning before the sun rose, Mama Ife would drag him from his bed, forcing him to sweep the compound, fetch water from the river, and scrub the pots. By the time he was done, his body ached, and he was always exhausted before he even began his day. The other children in the village would see him on the way to school, clothes worn and face drawn, and feel sorry for him. Some tried to talk to him, but Tunde always shied away, unwilling to reveal the struggles he faced at home. Mama Ife never allowed Tunde to eat with the family. Instead, she made him wait until they were done, leaving him with the cold scraps of food on his plate. When he was extra hungry and dared to ask for more, she would glare at him with a venomous look. "You should be grateful for what you get," she would snap. And Tunde would lower his head, knowing there was no point in arguing. The only comfort he had was his father's brief but kind glances when Mama Ife wasn't watching. His father, although loving, seemed to be under Mama Ife's spell. Every time Tunde tried to speak up about the abuse, Mama Ife would twist his words and make it look like he was the troublemaker. His father would end up scolding him harshly, convinced by her lies. Over time, Tunde learned to keep his suffering to himself. One evening, after finishing his endless chores, Tunde went to the village square where the elders would often gather to tell stories. He stayed in the shadows, listening to the tales of bravery, kindness, and resilience. One of the elders, Baba Ola, noticed him there and called him over. "Young Tunde, you look troubled. What burdens do you carry on those small shoulders?" Baba Ola asked, his voice full of warmth. At first, Tunde hesitated, but something in Baba Ola's eyes made him feel safe, and before he knew it, he was pouring out his pain. He told Baba Ola everything, how he was made to work without rest, fed only scraps, and felt invisible in his own home. Baba Ola listened patiently, his gaze gentle but piercing. When Tunde was done, the elder placed a hand on his shoulder and shared a story. "There was once a boy named Akin who was treated poorly by his family," he began. "He suffered much, just like you. But he worked hard, kept his heart pure, and learned all he could, hoping that one day his life would change. In time, his hard work and patience paid off. He became a man of great wisdom, respected by all." Baba Ola's words planted a seed of hope in Tunde's heart. That night, as he lay on his mat, he repeated Baba Ola's words to himself. He resolved to endure, to work hard, and to learn as much as he could, just like the boy in the story. The next day, he went to his chores with a new sense of purpose. Despite the harsh words and punishments, he kept his spirit strong. He found ways to educate himself, borrowing old school books from a neighbor and reading them by moonlight when everyone else was asleep. He started doing odd jobs around the village, using his small earnings to save for his future. As the years passed, Tunde's resilience and dedication grew. One day, a family friend visited from the city. This man saw Tunde's determination and was impressed by his quiet strength and eagerness to learn. He offered Tunde a job and a place to stay if he was willing to move to the city. With his father's blessing, Tunde left the village, carrying little but the hope Baba Ola had once instilled in him. In the city, he worked hard, first as an apprentice and later as a skilled craftsman. Tunde never forgot his roots, and he continued to educate himself, attending night classes and saving every spare coin he earned. Years later, Tunde became a successful entrepreneur, known for his honesty and skill. His business grew, and he became well respected in his community. People admired his strength, his humility, and his generosity. When he finally returned to his village, he was not the same boy who had left in torn clothes and empty pockets. He was now a man with purpose, able to give back to the place that had once been his prison. When Mama Ife saw him again, she could hardly believe her eyes. Her once scorned stepson had returned as a successful, dignified man, and her shame was apparent to all. Tunda, however, greeted her with kindness, choosing to show forgiveness instead of bitterness. It was as if he had grown beyond the pain she had caused him. Tunde's story spread throughout the village, and he became an inspiration to all.